Hi, welcome to Vibe Coding as a PM. I'm Lauren Kearney, Director of Health and Platform Products at Twitch, where I lead teams building the foundational services that keep the platform fast, safe, and reliable at scale. A lot of my work sits at the intersection between quantitative and subjective. So I use data to understand things like fun, belonging, delight, in addition to how we personalize experiences and keep people safe. I've been in digital entertainment the majority of my career. My first job, I was a programmer at Comcast, but I was actually a fine arts major as an undergrad, and I had a mantra to never touch a computer. So I'm really interested in how AI is changing creativity and culture, especially in community-driven spaces like streaming. So today we're going to talk about vibe coding as PM, and I want to go over what you'll learn. First, we're going to talk about what vibe coding is and what it isn't, and how you can use it for product work. I'm going to give you a framework that you can use, try out, share with your friends. The framework's really focused on how to use vibe coding to learn stuff. And then I'll share an example of a project that I did here at Switch. Lastly, I'm going to talk about how vibe coding impacts the software development cycle, what changes, what doesn't, and hopefully you can leave this webinar feeling really confident about using AI in your practice and having other people around you use AI too. Great, so let's get started. So I work with a lot of product managers on a regular basis, and I've worked a lot in the past. And there's a lot of things about being a product manager that are really hard. But the biggest problem for PMs is actually time. So it's not that we can't come up with enough ideas, it's that we can't build things quickly enough, and therefore we can't learn fast enough. So in a typical cycle, we write a spec and we align in meetings, we get on a roadmap, and then we wait. We wait to validate with real users, and we wait for engineering. So, even on great teams, engineering time is scarce. So discovery often gets bottlenecked and our ideas become outdated. And a lot of times our features sometimes, they die in a backlog waiting to be shipped. So when we learn late, we actually pay twice. We spend time building the wrong thing and we lose confidence in our decision making. So the goal for product leadership is simple. How can we pull learning forwards? How can we learn faster? And one way is vibe coding. But what does vibe coding actually mean? Well, so for PMs, vibe coding means using AI tools to turn natural language into a runnable prototype and then iterating based on behavior. So in the old model, we would describe the product, we would write a doc, we would do research, we'd explain the flow, and then we'd ask engineering to translate that all into something that was usable for our customers and our users. Vibe coding just flips that. So you start with the intent and the flow, but instead of writing a document, you use AI tools to generate a small, runnable prototype. You don't actually have to be technical to successfully learn to vibe code. Your goal is to build the smallest believable demo. So just enough of the experience that a user can react realistically and one that you can change quickly so you can keep learning. I also want to take a pause and talk about what vibe coding isn't. So vibe coding is not production code. It's not a replacement for engineering and is certainly not an excuse to skip security, privacy, reliability, accessibility, design craft, engineering excellence, or abuse prevention. Vibe coding is very simply just a new form of prototyping, one that you can do yourself to accelerate learning, which makes it super awesome. And, eventually it should help improve the quality of the build, but it won't become the final production slide. So next, we're going to look at the framework. We're going to look at some examples because just talking about it is really abstract, and I want to help make things more specific. So here is the framework. Essentially, we're going to do the same thing that we've always done as product managers. We're going to name the job to be done. If you're not familiar with the job to be done framework, Google it, check it out. Really good. We're not going to go into the details there. Then you're going to talk about the must be true assumption. So this is the thing that must be true for our customers, for the business. It's basically, if this doesn't happen, then the experiment is a failure. We're going to build the smallest believable demo, and we're going to do that with vibe coding. And then after, just like any prototype or research or experiment, we are going to capture what we learn. So let's look at this in detail. So, what is a job statement? Well, a job statement is just one sentence. So, not a feature, it's not a persona, it's not a roadmap item. It's what the user is trying to accomplish, and it includes the outcome. A great format to use, and you can see this if you're Googled the job to be done framework, is to say when a user is in a situation and they want to do this certain thing, they can achieve. So, a vague way of a job statement is say, like, I'm going to improve onboarding. Okay. Let's get more specific. Let's say when a new admin joins, they want setup steps so they can be productive on day one. And then, less good is jumping great to the solution. So it wouldn't be good to say to an engineer, build an onboarding wizard, and it's not good to use that when you're vibe coding either. And that's just basic product management hygiene. So if that part feels new to you, that's okay. I just suggest practicing a bit before you start with the vibe coding part. So let's talk about must be true assumption. This is the riskiest thing. This is, if this thing fails or if this is false, then the idea is just not worth building. We shouldn't do it. So the must be true assumption, it should be testable, it should be observable, it should be something that you can really measure. So things when we say like, okay, let's start with the less good option in this example, which is users are going to love this. Like, okay, that's not really measurable. I think a qualitative feedback score for users is really important and it can give you a strong signal. But for a prototype like this, that's not super measurable. So then you could say, like, oh, well, I'm going to reduce the drop off rate. Like, you're getting closer. Ideally, you come up with a really specific quantitative number that you can use to test whether or not your prototype is effective. And that takes us to the smallest believable demo. So what is it? Believable just means users can try it and they can react realistically. And, a lot of times you either go over the build, you go under the build. Too small is something like a static mock. You can get someone's first reaction, but you can't really understand what they're going to do. And too big is like you're building the whole system or you add a bunch of delight that like is really nice, but maybe not be necessary for the user to complete their job to be done. So small is believable means a user can try it. It behaves enough like a real trigger that it triggers real reactions. And when I say reactions in this sense, I mean behaviors, not necessarily things that customers say. And the other thing is you can change it. So for AI experiences, this usually means you want real prompts, real outputs, a minimal UI wrapper, and a few really realistic scenarios, including edge cases, so that you don't drink your own Kool-Aid. And you don't fool yourself into thinking something is good or something is bad. You want like a really round, robust set of testing criteria. From there, you're gonna talk to the AI and try a few prompts. It's great to tell it who to be, what to do, and how to respond, and then test some weird use cases. It's less good to just try one prompt or just do one thing. But that's kind of common sense. And I know as product managers, we're already looking at kind of like all the options. And the thing with vibe coding is it lets you do that really easily. So um, then there's capturing the learnings. So it's great to take notes and kind of present a decision, but it's much better to give a detailed explanation of like what you tested, what worked, what broke, what did you need to iterate on, what were the failure modes that you saw, and how did you drive to this outcome where you want to say, I'm going to build this, or I'm going to change this, or I'm actually going to kill this. And so the less good is just to like send a demo and the outcome, right? You still want to be collaborative. You still want to provide context, drive alignment. So now you have your plan. Your question is probably, okay, Lauren, cut to the chase. You haven't told me how yet. And the truth is, it's because the tools matter less than the loop, like a lot less. The tools just make it easier to move. And the beauty of the technology of vibe coding is that all you have to do is start talking. That's what people mean when they say natural language. They really just mean talk to it. And you can use the framework and then you can literally pick any tool. So I am going to walk through an example. These are the tools that I used, but again, this is not me advocating for a specific tool. You want to use the tools that are most comfortable to you. So I use ChatGPT to generate scaffolding, iterate prompts, tighten the behavioral feel. I use Kiro for steering and workflow. Keeping the iteration loop type, I used 11 laps for voice because hearing it out loud was a really big component of what I was testing. And I actually just used my terminal for debug logs and test cases. But you can use anything. When something graduates from a prototype to a real experiment, you're also going to want to use feature flags, metrics, all the things you do in a normal engineering workflow. I didn't actually get that far with my prototype. It was still a success. I learned a ton. I just didn't get to the stage where I needed all of those tools. All right, so you have your framework, you have your tools. I know that the question that you're asking. Why can't I just launch something that I vibe coded myself? Well, the answer is like sometimes you can. If it's small, safe, behind a feature flag, if it's reviewed properly, maybe if you don't actually have a product yet or a customer base yet, but you wouldn't ship a paper prototype. And the outcome of vibe coding is sometimes the same thing. Sometimes it can be more complex. And I do think that you can ship vibe coding, things you vibe code sometimes. But experiments are not automatically low risk. They touch real users, they create real failure modes, and they create operational ownership. So the point isn't to block you, it's just to keep learning faster. Um, but the scale of quality that we use, and when you ship things at scale, the bar doesn't move. So if you vibe code and you generate code, you still need a PR review. You still need instrumentation, a rollback plan, clear ownership. And engineering really still owns the production path because that's how you ship quality product to your users. That's how you make a sustainable business. So formally, I like to use these guide rails just to make sure that like I'm not going rogue with enthusiasm, and I'm making sure that I'm protecting the customer experience and the outcomes of the business. I always make sure that when I'm vibe coding to learn, and the goal is validation. The goal is not polish. I like to keep it lightweight. So again, smallest believable demo, which means disposable by default. If I make something, I'm not going to feel emotionally attached to it. I'm going to build it. I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to rebuild it. I'm going to iterate on it. I'm always going to respect the real bar: security, privacy, accessibility, abuse prevention, reliability. There's a very long list that we use to have a scalable, healthy business. Don't ignore that list. And then handoff. Once something is real, engineering owns it, right? I'm not an engineer by practice, studied engineering. That doesn't mean that I can just merge code to production. If you keep these guardrails, vibe coding will make you a better partner in engineering, and it will make you a better product manager because you are going to show up with clarity from learning from what you vibe coded, rather than a bunch of guesses. So let's get to the fun part: seeing it in practice. So what did I do? Well, as part of my role at Twitch, I like to dog food, which means using my own products. So I stream under the name A Mom in Tech. This is my bio. You can follow me if you want to watch me stream about nothing. And what I did was I explored an AI streaming agent. So basically, a digital clone that streams as me. I did this because I wanted an excuse to practice vibe coding. I was also exploring the question of whether or not I can clone myself, something I've been thinking about since undergrad. Cloning myself during streaming also posed potential value, not just to me, but streamers abroad, which is essentially, can you keep the stream entertaining while you're doing something else? So I use Twitch as a disposable sandbox, my channel. The things I did were designed to be throwaway. They were not at scale, not connected to any system. So even though I work at Twitch and I did this work on the Twitch channel, any creator could have done this because of the Twitch ecosystem and the technology that we deploy to developers to contribute to the experiences that our creators create. And the goal was not to meet production standards. It was not to say, look what I built, let's go ship this. It was literally just, what can I learn about vibe coding so that I can share it with all of you? So first thing I did was I tried to apply the framework that we reviewed earlier in this session. So the first step is name the job to be done. I wanted chat to be a fun, safe, an engaging place without me constantly context switching between chat and whatever I was doing in my stream. And that's because chat is what makes Twitch special. But as a streamer, it's really hard to do what I'm doing in the stream and keep chat engaged. So sometimes I stream myself doing jujitsu. How I'm going to roll and talk to chat at the same time is impossible without kind of the second agent. So the job became keep chat engaged throughout the stream, respond to messages, keep momentum, and help with lightweight engagement like prompts or polls. Okay, so the second step in the framework is the must be done assumption. So the thing that absolutely had to be true about my agent was that it can't say anything outside of the community guidelines or outside of my creator's channel rules. Because if that happens, it's really bad, right? I get suspended, all these things. So the must be true was this AI colleague could not derail the vibe and it can't break any of the rules. And that is why I introduced a second role, which was the AI moderator. So my step 3, smallest believable demo. This was the fun part. I needed real chat inputs in real time because the tone, the timing, the moderation, all of those things are interaction problems. I needed customers. I needed the users in my channel. Something static wasn't going to teach me anything. So I ran this in a really controlled environment. My own channel, again, did not touch any Twitch code, any Twitch services. Any creator could have done this in their own channel. I used real viewers, real messages, but I limited exposure. And I was able to kill the service from my desktop immediately in case anything got weird. So prompt, run, and iterate is the next step. I iterated on the behavior, not the code. So I changed the prompts, I changed the triggers, I asked the customers what they thought. I ran it, I watched it with the viewers, I broke it. And because it was live, I got constant feedback and it was really awesome. And lastly, I did capture my learnings and I have shared them with my team. But like I said earlier, the point was not to claim that I built something that was ready to ship or to ship at all. It was just to learn enough about what I could do and what I couldn't do. And also, again, to learn about vibe coding. So let's check it out. Let me see if I can get this playing. Here we go. This was the first time that a chatter in my stream talked to my AI mom. Here we go.
Hey there. What's going on? Just finished a jujitsu class or something chaotic?
That worked. You could hear it, right? Okay, now you can talk to her too while I do whatever. Yes. Okay. Espionage, you want in? So that was when it got really, really real. I got really excited, as you can see in the clip. And espionage is actually the name of one of the users, subscribers in my channel. And he was providing content and questions and all this beautiful, magical stuff for me to learn about what the agent was going to say or what didn't say. And it was a lot of fun. And so go have fun with this. Again, it's not really production code, so there's very low risk. Let's talk about what changes and what doesn't change. I want to really reinforce the boundary because this is where people either like they over rotate or they get nervous. What changes is the speed of learning. You can move from idea to evidence faster. What doesn't change is how you ship product. The production bar stays the bar. So you still need a PR review, instrumentation, rollback, security, privacy. I know I mentioned all of these things again. I don't think I need to list them all. But the point is, vibe coding does not replace engineering. Vibe coding is an accelerant to learning. And I want to reiterate that my prototype is not live on Twitch. My project is not part of a roadmap on Twitch. It was really an opportunity for me to learn about how to interact with different tools and also how to vibe code. All right, so start now. If you want to try this today, you totally can. Pick one stuck decision, the thing that you like, you're debating the most about with your teams or in docs or in meetings, and write the job to be done statement and write the must be true assumption, and then build your demo. And the way you get started with building your demo is you can talk to basically any LLM, right? So talk to ChatGPT, talk to Claude, talk to whomever you like, DeepMind, there's loads of them, right? The point is you use natural language. And the thing that is great that I think people forget is like we talk about like prompts and validation and how serious it is. It's not that serious. So there were many, many times with ChatGPT, which was like giving me the primary direction, where I paused and I was like, I don't know what to do. And ChatGPT helped me through that. Like, I don't know what tool to use next. I have this bug. I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know how to think about fixing it. The service won't run on my laptop. What do I do? And so, like, when you get stuck, ask for help. I think that is another piece that's like really changed how vibe coding really changes the product management experience is you can just always ask for help. So, what are the key takeaways today? One is learn fast. The best thing that you can do as a product manager is learn quickly. And it's great if you can do that with users, which is why we're also pumped about vibe coding. The second is ship safely. So keep the bar. That means don't stop collaborating. Still collaborate with design and engineering. They're the experts. And if you do ship production, if you're working in that kind of space, have a rollback plan and know who owns it, right? If you ship it, you own it most of the time. But if you don't, it's okay. Just make a deal with whoever does own it so it doesn't harm any of your customers or your business. Um, and the last thing is use prototypes to bring clarity. Um, it helps you collaborate better and it helps ensure that your ideas don't go stale while you're waiting for information, while you're waiting for experiment results. And that I think is the most exciting thing about vibe coding as a product manager. So if there's one thing to remember about vibe coding, it's that it should help you to move fast and learn things. It's not move fast and ship things. And it's not move fast and break things because that hurts our users and that erodes customer trust. And if you erode trust, you erode the brand. And if you erode the brand, you erode the business. Um, Vibe coding is meant to help you learn more quickly so you can ship the right thing sooner. And that's all I have for today. So I really want to thank everybody for joining me. If you want to see my AI agent, you can follow me on Twitch at A Mom in Tech. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect, and I really appreciate you spending time with me today. Have a great one. Bye.